So, in the Indian state of Meghalaya, a really important government report has just been finished. But here's the thing, instead of being released, it's become this huge national mystery. And it's all defined by one, honestly, unbelievable detail its weight. Let's get into the story behind what everyone's calling Meghalaya's 200-kilogram secret.
Yep, you heard that right. The state's own chief minister says the final report weighs almost 200 kilograms. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like the weight of a full-grown male lion. It's an absolutely staggering figure for a government document, and it's kind of our first big clue that something very, very unusual is happening here. And it's not just heavy, it's ridiculously long. The report is supposedly somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pages. So you've got this physically massive document, the result of months and months of work by an expert committee that is said to hold the key to the entire state's future. And that brings us right to the heart of the puzzle. The government held public consultations, right? They invited everyone to come and share their opinions for this report. So why is the final product, all 200 kilograms of it, now being kept completely under wraps? This contradiction is what this whole story is really about. Okay, to really get why there's so much secrecy, we have to look at the policy at the center of it all. This whole controversy is about a job reservation framework that's been around for half a century. And, well, a lot of people are arguing it's totally out of sync with the state's reality today. So here's how the pie is sliced right now. This policy from 1972 reserves 40% of government jobs for the Khasi-Jaintia tribes and an exactly equal 40% for the Garo tribes. Then you've got another 5% for other scheduled tribes and castes, which leaves just 15% open for everyone else. That 40-40 split, remember that, because it's the core of the whole debate. But this is where the policy really starts to bump up against reality. If we look at the last big census from 2011, the Khasi-Jaintia community makes up about 47% of the state's population. Meanwhile, the Garo community is around 32%. You see the gap, right? The populations are not equal, but their job reservations are. And this chart just makes the whole tension crystal clear. You've got the Khasi-Jaintia group, with almost half the population, getting a 40% reservation. But then the Garo group, with just under a third of the population, also gets a 40% reservation. This mismatch is the fundamental reason people started demanding a review in the first place. So, with all this pressure building, the government set up an expert committee and opened the floor for public input. And as you can probably guess, with an issue this sensitive, the public had a lot to say, and different groups came forward with very different ideas. And wow, the suggestions were all over the map. Some groups, like major student bodies, said, hey, let's just make the quotas reflect the population. Simple. But others, like one political party, had a more radical idea. Just combine all the tribal quotas into one big pool to push for more merit-based competition. The committee was just flooded with all these competing ideas from every side. So the committee took all this input, all these suggestions, they went behind closed doors to write their big report, and then nothing. Silence. That open, transparent part of the process was officially over. A new, much more secretive phase had begun, and it left everyone wondering, hey, what happened to our suggestions? This sudden shift from being really open to being completely secret has led critics to make a pretty serious accusation. They're calling the whole thing consultation theater. Basically, a performance that's designed to look like democracy, but without any of the real substance. A really powerful phrase that's come out of the public debate sums it all up perfectly. The 200-kilogram report is weaponized opacity. The argument here is that the report's insane size isn't a sign of how thorough it is, it's a weapon. It's designed to overwhelm people and make any real public scrutiny impossible. It's just too big to digest, and it's being kept secret for way too long. So what do people actually mean when they say consultation theater? Well, it's when a government goes through all the motions of asking the public what they think. It creates the appearance of participation, but in reality, the decision has already been made behind closed doors. The whole consultation process, it's just for show. Critics are claiming the government is following a very specific playbook here. Step 1, collect all the public input, make everyone feel like they've been heard. Step 2, prepare this massive report in total secrecy. Step 3, spring it on the state assembly with zero warning. Step 4, use their majority to rush a vote. And the final step, turn around and claim the democratic process was followed all along. And this really shows the difference between how this should work and what critics say is actually happening. Normally, after getting input, you'd release a draft report so the public can give feedback. But here, that huge step is apparently being skipped. The report stays secret, and instead of allowing enough time for debate, it's being fast-tracked through a super short, 10-day legislative session. And you just have to look at the timeline to see how tight it is. The cabinet decides in mid-January to present the report in the February budget session, which is only 10 days long. This means the public and the opposition will likely see this 5,000-page beast for the very first time as the debate is starting. That leaves almost no time to analyze it before a vote is called. It's crazy. So, why does all this fighting over process and timelines actually matter? Because the outcome of this whole thing is going to have huge, real-world consequences for the people of Meghalaya. This is so much more than just some abstract political game. A comment I saw online really captures what people are suspecting. The fear is that this entire complicated process is just a way to put a shiny new wrapper on the same old 1972 policy. It's about keeping things the way they are while creating the illusion that there was a scientific review.
And let's be clear, this one policy affects almost every part of life in the state. It decides who gets government jobs. We're talking about thousands of young people. It shapes the delicate relationships between different communities. It even influences who holds political power. And maybe most importantly, all this secrecy is just eating away at public trust in the government. Which leaves us with the big, unanswered question. Is the government's handling of this 200-kilogram report just part of a messy, but ultimately genuine democratic process? Or are the critics right? Are we all just sitting here watching a performance of consultation theater? That's the question Meghalaya, and really anyone watching, is asking right now.